For those of you who own these cylinder arm sewing machines, putting on the top table could be a pain. But I found an easy way to install these things to where you don't have to go through the hassle of removing the big long bolts every time you want to take off or remove it. And I'll show you how that's done. Okay, here's the top table. I have this out in my garage. And what we're going to do, you see this little cutout right here I marked? That is where your thread adjustment knob hits. That's what keeps preventing it from going up. So what we're going to do is this lip right here. We're going to cut this lip off flush with the main table. And that will give us enough room to where we could lift this table above and beyond that stitch length adjustment knob. So just get a saw and just saw this lip off right here. Now that I got this lip cut off, as you can see, again, I'm just going ahead and screw these long bolts all the way down till they stop. Okay, then you take two nuts and run them about halfway down the bolt. Okay. And do that to the other side. Now there's one bolt that you have to leave off in order to get past this arm. Is this back corner right here. And so you have to leave this one off until you slide this table in position. Then you go ahead and screw this bolt in, which I'm going to do right now. Now that you got that last bolt in, all you got to do is make sure before you slide these down in the hole, you have a washer on top of each, and you have a washer like this washer here, and then you have a washer on the back side. Make sure you have a washer on the top of the table for all four of these bolts. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now what you do with these two bolts right here, you separate them and you run the bottom one down all the way to the top of the table where it sits. Okay, where this table just sits naturally. Okay, and you do the same thing with the back side. Run the bottom bolt or the bottom nut all the way down to the top of the table, just one. Okay, now that they're tight, now you adjust your table on how you want it. Mine sits a little bit low, and I like to have my tabletop flushed with the top of this foot housing. So all you got to do is take a pair of pliers, if I could find them. Oh, what did I do with them? Oh, here they are. Okay. And I just keep screwing this nut down. A wrench works better, okay? But make sure your long bolt isn't turning, okay? And what we want to do oops, is to raise our tabletop up. And to keep it flipping, what just happened to me. Okay, then after you get all your 4 bolts down tight, okay. Let me stop this recording. Yeah, once you got your top nuts all the way down to the top of the table, take a washer and a nut and put in your bottom ones and run those flush up to the bottom of the table. Okay? And you do that to all 4 of them. And I got to use 2 hands to do that. So I'll be right back with you. Actually, what you want to do is when you put your 4 bottom nuts in, these two, this nut and this other nut, this other front nut next to, okay, you want to take that nut and only run it flush down here. You want to make it flush with the bottom of the bolt. Right there. Okay. That way, you could take your tabletop and move it up and down. See how that works? So, get yourself maybe a tin can. Raise your table up. There we go. And let's see what gives it close enough. And then you just screw this nut down. And as you screw it down, this tabletop should come up to where you want it. See how it's coming up flush with the table? Okay. That side's good. How's the back side? Let me raise my foot. Ugh, let's see here. Okay, that's flush too. So then I want to make sure that then you take that nut right here and run that down to the top of the table. Okay. Once you're happy with that adjustment, take your bottom nut and run it up tight. Tighten it down tight. Okay. There we go. And then you do the same thing to this other side. Tighten this bolt down. Tight. There we go. Okay, I gotta use 2 hands for this. Now that you have your table adjusted where you want it, all you have to do is run the second nut down on top of this other nut and lock these 2 nuts in place. In other words, hold a wrench on the bottom one and tighten up this top nut to lock these 2 so these cannot turn again. Okay. So I just take a pair of pliers there we go. And if you could turn the top nut and the bottom one doesn't move and you got it tight, then that's locked together. They're locked together. Okay. You do the same thing. Do all 4 of them. There we go. And since the bottom nuts are tied against the table bottom, okay, you do all four sides of that, okay? And then all you have to do when you remove this table, since you got this notch cut out right here, is just take the four bottom nuts off the table. Just take the four nuts off. Lift this table up, because this table will rise past this thread thing. Of course, you'll have to remove this bolt, that one bolt. But since these are already locked in place for the adjustment, and you have this screwed all the way up tight to where you can't turn this thread bolt anymore, then put the table back on again. All you have to do is just take and just drop these four bolts in the hole, and then put on the bottom nuts again, because these nuts are already pre-adjusted, so you don't have to keep adjusting your table. So it's a matter of just removing the four bottom bolts, four bottom nuts, to remove and replace this table. And I'm going to tighten down all my other nuts, and I'll give you a demonstration on that. Now that I got all four of these bottom bolts removed, what I'm going to do now is just lift up this table and show you how easy it is to remove it. If I could do it with one hand. But all you got to do is just take, and I don't think I could do it with one hand. No, I should put this on a tripod, but I'm not going to. But anyway, you can just see, all you have to do is just raise this. I got to use two hands. There. See, I just lifted it right off the table. And these are already, well, shit, they're not. Oh, I got to lock these down. And then all you got to do is just remove this bolt so your table can come off. And to put it back on, all you got to do is just put these right back in the hole, and they're already pre-adjusted. That your table's already pre-adjusted. Okay? And once you tighten up all these four bolts, your table's back on. What I did to keep these nuts, these washers, from moving around trying to glide them up, I got some of this double-sided basting tape. And I just put tape on the bottom side of these washers and just tape them to the table. That way these washers don't move. Then I put a piece of cardboard underneath this, underneath right there, so I could have an extra shelf to put stuff when you use the top table. And also when you use the top table, put a Coke can or something underneath it. They give it some support, because those studs that are embedded in these tables, I don't know how they're put in. I don't know if they're glued in or if they're screwed in. But it would just help take the stress off these inletted nuts that these bolts are screwed to. So get yourself some support out here. That way you take the stress off of here. What I'm going to do later on is I'm going to make it more permanent. I'm going to JB weld the washer, these two nuts, and the bolt together. Don't get it on the table, but just weld those three pieces together, four pieces. And that way, I don't have to worry about the washers. Everything will all come out at once. Except for, so you just take off the four bottom nuts, and this table comes off. It takes a while to get it adjusted. It takes a while to get this thing cut out, I didn't do a very good job of cutting that out. I nicked it right there. But once you get this cut out, get this table adjusted for the final time, removing these four bottom bolts, it's all it takes to remove this table. And bolt. Or you could just take this nut off, take this arm off, which would probably be easier. And just slide this arm off. And either how you want to do it, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But that's how you remove and restore this tabletop. But like I say, once you get it final adjusted, get these two nuts locked in place, and make sure that these long bolts are screwed up into the bottom of the table. Your table is already pre-adjusted. Okay,